What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bluegrass State of Mind. Fellas, we are going to kick off tonight's episode with a little bit of BBN talk. So as of right now, we have Team USA under 19 participating for their little tryouts and their trials and what they're going through to advance to make the top 12 for that team. We have two of our own representing UK, which was Malachi Marino and Jasper Johnson. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to hand it over to you, Coden. Coden, kind of explain what's happened since then, some news that you've seen, and then Mason, anything else that you've heard about that, and then I can chip in whenever I want. But go ahead.
Yeah, so this is, I think it's the 18 and under team, correct?
19
19 and under team.
Yep.
So Jasper Johnson and Malachi Moreno were both trying out for the, and it's an honor. They got invited, so that means that they were obviously ones that they had under the radar, felt at least enough to get a tryout. So the first cut, they go through these tryouts and they go through the trainings, and then they cut it down to 18, and then they cut it down to 12. So they've cut it to 18 so far. Malachi Moreno did not make the cut, but Jasper Johnson did. I don't think that's a surprise when you think about Moreno, and I think it's just it's a good sign that Johnson made it, right? I mean, we're talking about the top guys in the country, when you're talking about just 18 players making it. So Johnson making it is a good sign. I think we can sit there and think, it's not a big surprise that Moreno didn't make it. I think the expectations were pretty low for Moreno, and then people kind of built him up after watching some videos, watching some, a little bit of the McDonald's All-American game, some different things. But I think he's going to be a project. I just do. I think Jasper Johnson has a real chance to come in and impact immediately. But so it doesn't surprise me. I think we'll see if Johnson makes the top 12. Pope's been there though, Mason. I know you want to talk. You were mentioning that. If you want to go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously, Coach Pope, he's not part of the actual coaching staff that's going to go with this team, to coach in that FIBA, U19 tournament that they have going on. But he is there and kind of helping out, with drills and things at practice and assessing these players. So I think that's key. I think that's a big advantage to us. I saw a Louisville fan on Twitter or X saying, is that even legal that, because he was over there by himself, kind of Taylor Connie was over there shooting, and he was over there talking to him, rebounding for him. And then it comes out a day after that he has an official visit scheduled to UK coming up here in the next week or so. So I think that's a big advantage for him to be there, going forward. If he can maintain, going to that every year and being able to develop some of these connections, like Taylor Connie, for example, he's not scheduled to come into college until next year. So you have some of these younger guys that are there too, and him being able to go ahead and establish these relationships, see their game, and see how they're going to fit, within his system around these other really talented guys. I think that's a big advantage for us going forward. I get it. Some of those Louisville fans, kind of griping about it. Yeah, it may not seem fair, but he has this position. He's able to take advantage of it. So I think that's going to be huge for us going forward. I did see something. I don't know how true it is. I've seen a couple of things talk about how Malachi Moreno had a minor injury. That's kind of why he was sent home. I was reading an article somebody posted that was there observing and said he was one of the top 3 centers there. I don't know the truth in that. I haven't seen much video footage from that particular scrimmage or anything, the drills they were doing. But I do think he's going to be I do think some people got hyped up. At first I feel like it was he's not really going to do much. I do think he's going to be better than what I originally expected. I'll say that. I don't know how impactful he'll be this year with some of the depth we have there. Getting Jaden Quaintance late, Diabate. We got BG for a second year. I don't know how impactful he'll be in his first year, but I do think he's going to be a solid player for us here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think experience is going to play a big factor with him not actually getting to play when the guys you talked about not only have experience, but most of them, or at least two of them, have experience in like March Madness, making a deep run.
Yep.
So, but anyways, that just thought we'd give y'all an update on that. We love our Kentucky basketball. Let's move on to the NBA Finals. So, as of right now, the Thunder have took the lead. The series is now 3-2, with the next game being played at Indiana. By the time this is released, it has already been played. But Tyrese Halliburton is questionable. He had his calf strain. He's been dealing with that most of these playoffs, they said, but he did have a calf strain in the last game, which was for game 5. I think this is kind of a weird finals. I just don't think there's many storylines, headlines. Usually in a finals, like you have it's either a marquee matchup, you got certain stars playing, and it's really weird to say though, whenever the league MVP is playing. I I don't know. I'm gonna throw out a hot take maybe for some people. I don't know if it is for you all, but here's something that I've been thinking a lot about, and I think I've already mentioned it maybe before, but like Tyrese Halliburton is just not that dude. He's not. I mean, he got voted on the most overrated player, and there was some people saying, no, he's not the most overrated player. He's made all these shots. Well, I've said before, I think, is one. I know I've already said that, but I just want to make sure I'm not saying nothing new that I've not said before. But you can be overrated and still hit quote unquote clutch shots, I guess. Like, you don't have to be an all-star to do that. So like, let me go through this is supposedly supposed to be your franchise player. Okay? If that's what he's like, game 1 he has 14 points. Game 2 he has 17 points. Game 3 22 points. Game 4 18 points, and then game 5 4 points. Now I know that those numbers are not just terrible. However, though, if it's your franchise player supposed to be the person who is your go-to one, those are not the numbers you're looking for. That's more so your 2 guy, like who's going to be the Robin to Batman. Like, those are good Robin numbers. But I mean, and that's another thing that some people, well, Tyrese Halliburton, he's not just a scorer. Well, you can only do and impact the game so much with rebounding and assisting. I'm not saying you can't at all. However, though, you still got to be able to score the ball at a high efficiency, especially in NBA. Like, that's not Batman numbers. And that's why I truly believe he really is he's overrated. He's not that guy. I don't even think, like, on the top of my head, I don't think I could put him in the top 20 in the NBA. I know that's, I feel like if I really got down a pencil and paper, I could write down 20 guys that I would rather have than Tyrese Halliburton. I maybe could take it further to maybe 30. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I think he's a really good player. But that's my story and that's my headline. Like, he's just not that guy. He's not that dude who's going to overcome and get you that finals. Whereas the other guy on the other team is that guy and is that dude, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's absolutely balled out. I think he's hit 30 points every game, maybe. He's just, and he's also impacting the game in other ways as well. So, Mason, go ahead. What are your thoughts on the series? Anything, takes? What you got?
No, I agree. Just not too interested in the series itself. I did watch a little bit of the last game, and I agree with you completely. I do not think Halliburton's that guy. In my honest opinion, this may be a hot take a little bit. I don't know, but I'd rather have Jalen Williams on my team than I would Tyrese Halliburton. I think he is I don't know. I think he could be a better star player than Tyrese Halliburton is for the Pacers. But I think Jalen Williams is a perfect piece to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I seen somebody the other day talking on X about him potentially having, the type of career like a Scottie Pippen career, kind of there, and not comparing SGA to Jordan or anything like that, but he kind of helps do some of the other things, makes his team go at times, can step in and get his when he needs it. I mean, what did he have last game? 41. So I don't think Halliburton's it. Like we've talked about throughout this whole playoffs. I think Indiana's just kind of clawed their way through this. They've made other teams play ugly. I think the Thunder are just too well rounded, and we've talked about how SGA just kind of plays so composed and doesn't really get sped up. So I feel like that. Yes, they've won a couple games, but I feel like this series is over. Even though it's going back to Indianapolis, Thunder are just a better team. Pacers got two of them. They play hard, they play tough, but in the end, I think it's over. I think it doesn't come back to OKC.
This series though should be 3-1 right now. Indiana stole one. Like they had no business winning game one. I mean, if you watch, I watched pretty much that whole game. And unfortunately, until my kid had to start crying and I missed the last second shot. But the Thunder controlled that game the entire game. They were up like 15, it seemed like, the entire game. And then they just, like Pacers do, they slowly start chipping in. And then before you know it, you turn your head and it's like 4 minutes left and it's an 8-point game. And then 2 minutes, it's a 5-point game. And 1 minute, it's a 3-point game. You're like, well, where did this come from? So I agree. I mean, like, this is the Pacers are going to have to play their best basketball of the season to win this series. Especially going if they go back to the Pacers and they got the home court advantage there. If they win that game, then it's 3-3. But then you gotta go back to Oklahoma City, and I think it's going to take something special. Like if Tyrese Halliburton has any of those numbers, I don't think they get it done. Like he's got to have like a 25-point game with a Pascal Siakam with a 20 game, and then you have your other guys who have like 8 to 12, and like they've got to really they're going to have to do something special, I think. But then again, I said it's going to be a sweep, so what do I know? Go ahead, Colton.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Thunder's got it now. I don't know. I mean, I think the Pacers will make the next game interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if they win it, but if Halliburton's not fully healthy, I see the Thunder closing it out probably the next game tomorrow night, or this will be last night by the time this releases. But my thing about Halliburton is who really I think you can consider him overrated if you put him in all-star category, but like who put him there? Like that,
well,
that's
himself.
my thing.
I mean, he did make an all-star, and he was on. I think a lot of it, honestly, Colton, I think a lot of it came from whenever he made Team USA. When he made Team USA over some of the other guys, like I'll just throw it, Jalen Brunson. Like,
Right.
That's absurd.
But like someone someone say it's different than like I feel like if Halliburton comes out and he was like, I'm a top 5 player in the league. But like I haven't seen any of those comments from him. I just feel like people are putting like he never even saw the floor for Team USA like during the whole Olympics pretty much. But I mean, I feel like people like he got drafted originally by the Kings, right? And they traded him, when they traded. So like he obviously when he got to the Kings, they didn't, draft him thinking we have an absolute all-star. And then he come to the Pacers and he's kind of made a name for himself at the Pacers. So like I give him credit in a lot of ways of like he was nothing at the Kings when they drafted him, and he took a team in the Pacers and he's kind of made himself known. I don't think he's elite status, but I don't know who put him there. Like
Yeah, I don't want you to think that I'm coming at it. Like he seems like a pretty humble guy. Like I'm not saying that he's coming out and saying like, oh, I'm that guy. But I do think though that like he is overrated. Like I do think that
if you're going to put him in if all these people in the league and all these different people are wanting to say that he's for the ones that are trying to put him in the elite status, yeah, I think that's fair to say he's overrated 100%. I just don't know who put it like it. Like I said, you have the ones who come out and like I'm a top 5 player in the NBA. I don't think anyone can guard me one-on-one. I haven't heard. Then you're like, okay, come on now. Like
Here's my only problem with that is him coming out after those overrated things and saying something about it. Like, I guess my thing is, I don't think he's a top 20 player. I don't think he's a top 30 player. I don't know that he's a top 7 point guard in the NBA right now. Honestly, I think I could probably name 6 for sure point guards that I'm taking over him.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree. I don't think he put that title on himself, but I think he brought some of this on himself whenever he reacted to that and started saying, like, yes, you may not be overrated, but just go out there and prove that. You don't got to go talk all that and say all that. Like, I don't know. That just is what kind of bothers me with him, and he kind of has that attitude. I feel like sometimes when he's talking and talking back and thinks he is better than what he is. But
yeah, but come on now, Mason. If you were in the NBA and all the players that are playing in the NBA voted you as most overrated, and then you hit a couple shots to win the game, you ain't talking a little bit of smack back.
I mean, I might talk.
I mean, we're not talking about a fan voting. We're talking about the players you're playing against are straight up telling you that you're overrated, and then you just hit a game winner in their face to go to the finals.
Well,
Like,
I
how
mean,
can you not
that's
go talk a
also
little
something, though,
trash?
Cole. That's
It's
something
one
else we
shot.
got to think about.
But still, you in yourself would react that way. You wouldn't be like, "No, I really do suck." You would be like, "Who's overrated now?" Like
I
who?
mean,
Like you would though if you hit that type of shot after seeing that comment. You would react that way.
yeah, but I'm not gonna
Hold
go.
on, real quick.
I'd react that way.
That
I mean, like if
I
I
went
hit
to
the shot,
them. I went to them, but I'm not gonna go on X and blast it out all over the world.
well, I mean, who's he gonna do? Are you gonna individually text each of those guys and sit there and say overrated?
No,
Place
I mean, I'll talk smack to him next time I see him or whoever I'm playing for sure.
I don't. I'm not. And look, I don't think Halliburton's elite. I don't. I just think that it's weird that we've kind of put him in that status, or whoever put him in that status.
That's what I was gonna say. You brought up a good point though, and you keep saying we like the media, but like the players are the one who voted on this. So, is there something that we're not hearing or seeing that the players are like? How in the world is this guy above me? Like, or like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, there has to be a reason why the guys. It's not the media, like you said. It's coming from people that he's played against. So there has to be some sort of stigma around the league that Tyrese Halliburton is better than me. And by me, I'm talking about a player that's voted on that. So I mean, I don't know. Like, it's interesting. I don't know where it's come from. Like you said. But it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, like but someone in the media, right, has to create those
those narratives.
Rankings,
I mean,
the rankings in the players, right? The players are the ones who voted on the most overrated, but that probably stemmed from whoever voted on the one that was like, if you was a list of top 100 players, and someone put Halliburton above some other players, that probably came from the media. And then that's probably where it stemmed from, was like, how is he ranked above me in this? And then players are going to get mad. But now I think in this day and time, if you look at every franchise, you sit there and think everyone's got that guy.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I just don't think the Pacers, like, I think they're looking at Halliburton as supposed to be that guy, but I don't think he gave himself that title. I just think that they don't necessarily have that guy. And they look at Halliburton as supposed to be the guy. And so they're looking at all these other teams as like, hey, everyone else has a guy that can go for 35, 40 a night. And they're not really built that way. But
I think they do have a guy that not can get that high. But in Siakam is like,
yeah. I think
he
he's
is that guy. Like, no, I'm not saying he's that. I'm not saying he's that guy, but he is for the Pacers. Like,
I agree.
So, like, why not give that to him and give him his flowers and make Tyrese the Robin? Like, I know that'd be a lot to do in an organization.
But they're kind of very similar though. Like Siakam and Halliburton could kind of flip flop on any given night.
I agree.
And that's what happens. They don't. Neither one of them are like the guy. but they're probably claiming Halliburton as the guy, and that's why they're calling him overrated because they're wanting him to be. But they just don't have a true the guy.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That makes me feel it's not anything I really care about that much. It really
Me
isn't.
either, but I was
But
like,
it's just interesting to think about because I'm like, who even made this guy this? Like, who said Tyrese? Like, he wasn't anything coming out of college, right? Like Cooper Flag,
Well, yeah, where'd
the
he
way
play
we're
it?
thinking of Flag, but like you didn't think of Halliburton coming out of college as
Did he
this is
play
the
at Iowa
next this
State?
is the
Is that
next one.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was immediately traded with the Kings. Like he obviously
Cyclones.
right. So I mean, it wasn't like they were keeping up. They didn't look at Halliburton and say, "We've got to keep this. He's our franchise guy." He traded immediately.
All right. Well, that concludes that. Let's get on to our next topic. We are going to be do a little recap of the U.S. Open. I just want to give a round of applause for the United States Golf Association for a well ran tournament. Of course, we talked about this on our last episode, but it was played in Pennsylvania at Oakmont Country Club, and it was a beast. You had
yes.
only one player in the entire field under par, and that was in order to get under par,
Had to
had to
make
made
a
had to made
70-footer on
a
the last.
70-foot putt to get under
Bomb.
par, and that is Mr. JJ Spaun. He has, he's been right there multiple times. You think about the players. I mean, that's the first time I think everybody thinks about where he had to go the next day and into a playoff with Rory. I mean, he didn't play his best, but a lot of that was because Rory applied the pressure, like right off the tee, just sent a
Yep.
bomb. I mean, like that's. But he's been there throughout the year, and he's slowly been making his way up the ladder. But he gets his first major win at one under par. You had Robert McIntyre at +1, Victor Hovland at +2, and then you had a bunch of guys at +3, and so on. I mean, I guess, I think I heard somebody say, I forgot where I had watched this little clip, but they said, had JJ Spaun not made that putt, they said that is not what this year's major would have been remembered of. Like, because he made that 70-foot putt, yes, that's what will be remembered. But had he just two-putted that and still went on to win, the narrative would have been about how hard this week was for these players. I mean, I know y'all watched it, but for the audience, I mean, if you watched any of it, I mean, you just turn it on for 10 minutes and you would see a player in shambles. And by shambles, I mean literally on the course and mentally. I mean, you was seeing dudes throw their clubs, dudes talking out of their minds, dudes looking at a ball, looking at the rough, looking at the sky, finding
Smashing tee box markers.
I mean, like it was just absurd. It was chaos. Also, I was one off. I said 2 under. I was so close. I thought I was going to have it there towards. I was like, maybe he can make a run. But, Colton, what are some of your thoughts on the U.S. Open at Oakmont?
Yeah, I mean, it provided, right? We talked about the U.S. Open supposed to be known for its toughness, and man, was we worried, and were we wrong after Thursday? Right? I mean, they come out firing on Thursday. We were like, we want chaos, and just slowly,
Carnage!
It
We want carnage!
slowly. I mean, and then if the guy don't make a 70-footer, no one shoots under par. Like, it's just crazy. But I mean, they were firing away early, which it was the best conditions. That didn't help anything. When it started getting wet and rain, the rough was already ridiculous. I mean, just absolutely carnage. I mean, some of the rough shots were just, I mean, you're talking about some of the strongest, like the fastest swing speeds in the world, going down after a ball and advancing it 6 feet in front of them. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, it would take me 8 tries to get out of there. I mean, it was insane. And then you just got into places where, I mean, when you got to missing the fairway, or you missed the fairway, automatic, like they kept saying on day 1 or day 2, like he's going to have to try to make a U.S. Open par, and that would include like an automatic layup out of the rough because you had no chance of getting it to the green, and having to get up and down from 100 yards or 130 yards, and that happened the whole time. Like, I mean, that they were missing fairways and they just didn't get up and down. Credit to JJ Spaun. He was a day one leader, and there he stuck through it. I really thought that. I mean, everyone come back, and you knew it was going to happen. But I thought that it'd be interesting as the week went on. I thought that he would, and then on the first, and then he bogeyed 5 of his first 6 holes on Sunday, and I thought, well, here he comes. But like, he hung in there. He talked about that quote where he would just, he talked to Max Homa, and Max Homa told him a Tiger story where Tiger was just like, you just have to hang around in a U.S. Open. Like, you just have to stay where you are. Like, there is no, like, I've got to go get 4 birdies, 5 birdies. You just got to stay. And he was managed to stay. And, I'm happy for him, given the story where he was pretty much, where he was at last year, this time of year, and pretty much getting ready to be done with golf. And, here he is now, a lock for a Ryder Cup team now. I mean, I think he jumped up all the way to 3rd in points.
Yep.
Playing some great golf. I mean, but these are the things that makes the PGA Tour so, like, good, right? Like, out of nowhere now, JJ Spaun, right? Like, it just seems like you all of a sudden have Ben Griffin, JJ Spaun. These guys that you don't even talk about now are all of a sudden looking to be parts of your U.S. Ryder Cup team. And, all of a sudden just kind of just new stars, kind of. I wouldn't, they're not going to reach star status yet, but still, like, you're going to know more about them. Team USA, America is going to be rooting for them. But overall, I mean, it was awesome. It's what you want to see in the U.S. Open. It delivered, and I mean, man, I can't imagine what I'd shoot. I mean, the amateur, the 0 handicap went and shot 93 from not even from the members' tees, not even from the tips, from like 6,600, shot 93 on a 0 handicap. Yeah, that's an easy 150 at least.
For sure.
Firing, so
Absolutely.
So go ahead, man.
No, I mean, I agree with everything y'all said. I think it's really cool to see a tournament like this every year. This is what the U.S. Open should be. It just gives us a different perspective on watching these guys and how they play courses like this. Kind of how I have to play courses sometimes, just trying to play smart and trying to do what you have to do to get out of there with a bogey sometimes, So it's awesome to see them go out there and throw up these birdie fests. But, every now and then watching them come out here like this, it was, I mean, for me, it's been my favorite tournament I've watched so far this year. Just all the chaos, never knowing what's going to happen each hole, and like you said, Dylan, the mental toughness it takes for some of these guys to battle through not only this course, but the conditions they had to play through too there, coming down on Sunday. So it was really cool to watch. I mean, like you said, Colton, awesome story for JJ Spaun. And I feel like that's what's so great about golf too. I feel like every year you have this one guy maybe who you don't really know of, but he comes out and he has a good win. He plays well for a few weeks, and that's what's awesome about golf. You can be going through a slump, but you get hot there for a few weeks, and it can change everything. And you don't really see that in other sports, So it was really cool to watch. Like I said, my favorite tournament of the year. Shout out to JJ Spaun. I thought my boy Rom was going to pull it off there on Sunday. I think he had low round on Sunday. So also good to see him playing well again. I think John Rahm's good for the game of golf. I hope he eventually comes back to the tour. I think he wants to. Dylan's like, no.
No, I mean, like, I don't think he'll come back. I mean, I don't know.
I think he wants to, but
I think he wants. But the reason why I'm saying that, I don't know if you've watched, like, who's the one guy contracts coming up that you would think would make a move back to the PGA Tour?
Probably Koepka.
Let's see. I think of Bryson. I think because of all the meat, like, he's back in the good, and but like, if you've watched, like, I was watching an interview, and they was asking him about, like, if you had talks, and he's like, "Yep, we've had good talks. I think we'll come to an agreement." And, like, I was just like, "Whoa!" Kind of took me by surprise. I really thought he would come back.
Yeah, but Bryson's so about his brand though, and he's become so big on his YouTube and everything else that I don't think I think he wants to play in these tournaments and, like, be the best, and I think he believes he's in better standing with these players and some of the other ones. But I think overall his biggest thing is, like, I've developed this brand now, so, like, as long as he's still able to keep the brand, I think Rahm's kind of like, this is I think Rom is a very traditional guy, and I think the rest of this is kind of like this is nonsense. Like the music, some of this stuff. I think Rom's the one, and Kepka's kind of the same way. I think Kepka kind of looks at everyone else like y'all are just dumb. Like I like this is
I
stupid.
hate
Like
this.
I came here for the bag, but really this is ridiculous. Like yeah, well, I've got my bag now. Like I don't care. Like let me go over there and play in serious tournaments I want to play, and that's it. So those are a couple of those guys. Bryson, I think I'd say he wants to be on the PGA Tour, but at the same time, he's like, man, I may just be a YouTube golfer. I may just play live. I may just he don't
He might
really,
be. He might be. I don't know.
So.
Well, let's get on to somebody who is playing and not playing very well and kind of causing a lot of chaos right now for the PGA, and that is Mr. Grand Slam himself, Rory McIlroy. So, Rory McIlroy, ever since his win at the Masters, has not really been Rory like. And, you know, when I say that, I don't mean just his golf, his play, but his behavior on camera for like during his golf rounds and then for the media. You know, he didn't take any media at the RBC Canadian Open, which was not last week, but the week before the U.S. Open. Ended up missing the cut there. Played terrible. I don't know if y'all watched any of it, but I mean, I'm sure you did. But I mean, just awful. I mean, it was awful. Then he didn't take media the first 2 days at the U.S. Open. And when I say didn't take the media, I'm talking about post rounds. You not the actual media days like beforehand, like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where he does some talking. But that I'm just talking about that, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But then he did take it on the weekend, and he did also state something along the lines of this right here, and he has stated this before, where he says, he is accomplished, or he's saying him talking to himself, I have accomplished everything I needed to in this game. I don't owe you all anything. You know, like remarks of that nature. And if you all want to add any, you can go right ahead. But those are really the ones that stand out to me about he's accomplished everything that he's needed to in the game, and he doesn't owe anything to the media. They get on his nerves. Like he didn't say nerves, but that's pretty much what he was implying. And, you know, I sit there and I'm like, has Rory accomplished everything that he needs to in this game? I would say yes. I can't say no. I mean, he literally has. He's accomplished everything that I would probably want to accomplish as a professional golfer as well. So he's not wrong in that. However, though, it's one thing I feel like for him to go and say these things and it be somebody who is not well liked, universal. Like like take a Bryson DeChambeau before he was a Bryson DeChambeau, the nice guy. Like, if he had accomplished all this and was saying this stuff, nobody liked him. So, like, yeah, we're, like, expecting this. Rory's universally liked. Always been, you know, he's talked to the media, been, well, like, all in good with the fans. And then I also got to thinking, it's also another thing for somebody to be saying these things and playing good golf. And Rory's not doing that either. He was at the beginning of the year, but quite frankly, ever since he made those remarks and won the Masters, he's been doo-doo. So, I think he's got to get his stuff together. Like, I mean, I almost wonder, I'm just sitting here, I'm like, if he's accomplished everything that he's wanted to in this game, and he doesn't give a flip about anything, it seems like he's talking. Like, that's the way he's talking. Like, he's talking nonsense. Like, I don't know if you also heard whenever he was talking about saying, like, you know, he's like, I don't even care if I play the weekend. He said that, and I'm like, why are you playing then? Like, what are you, like, why are you playing? Like, if you've accomplished everything you wanted to, and you're making these remarks and not talking about how bad of golf you're playing and blaming the media and everybody else and just, like, why are you continuing to play on this PGA Tour? Like, is his time, is it done? Like, does he need to step, like, obviously I don't think he needs to step away from the game, but, like, what's the end goal with this? You know, like, did Jack and Tiger, like, imagine if they said that, like, what's going on? Colton, you've been a pretty lifelong Rory fan. What is your thoughts on this whole scenario? Like, what I mean, I want us to go deep with this because this
Yeah.
is wild. I mean, it just don't make much sense to me.
Yeah. So I've sit here and tried to come up with different things and just reasonings why. Because I'm a big Rory fan. I think Rory's done a lot for the game. I think when Tiger kind of like Rory was the next guy that kind of all eyes were on him, stepped into the limelight and had to take that responsibility over for a lot of things that Tiger was doing, beforehand. And then he took over that. And here's what I'll say. It's almost like he kept receipts from the media, right? Like here's my thing. Let's look at it this way. Think about how successful Scotty's been in the last 3 years, 4 years. And I probably should have looked up the stats, but I would say he's probably still probably close to he's only probably won half of how many ever wins Rory's got. Right? Rory's got
Well,
5 majors.
Majors are just in wins.
It wins probably.
Okay, well, Scotty has 16 wins, so I'll look up how many wins Rory
How many
has.
Rory's got? I think at last time I looked, he was at 28. Maybe he's at 30 now. I don't know.
Is it 29?
29. Yeah. So
including his 5 majors.
Right. So I mean, you're looking at So I mean, he's 3 away from almost doubling Scotty. So, and the thing is Rory's been consistently that good. Yes, he went the 10-year route, like the drought of the majors. But here's the thing: when's the last time you saw anything bad in the media about Scotty? Like you don't.
He did get arrested.
Okay, but like that's the thing. Like I feel like in that 10-year drought, like even though Rory was representing the PGA Tour, he was doing all the right things. He was still actually playing pretty good golf. He just wasn't winning a major. All of a sudden, it was like, does Rory choke at the Masters? Does Rory? I mean, they were like there was a lot. There's an example, Dylan. I mean, think about what you said to us, 5, 6 years ago. I can remember like laying there and you was like, I don't think Rory's ever winning again. Like people had that thought. That's not just you, but people had that thought. And here he was. He went on to win like 2 times that season, continued to win a couple times each season from then on. And I mean, he's just consistently been great. And yet people just pummeled him on the media. And it's almost like he won this. And instead of just having that peace and joy within, it's almost like he wanted to be like, take that, media. Like, take that. And I don't think he's getting joy like he should have out of it. I saw someone said, you get to the, or did you see finally, though, my favorite, I really enjoyed his comment he made on Sunday. And maybe he's starting to realize it. He said, if I can't get motivated for the Open at my home course, essentially, in Ireland, he said, then I don't know what I can do to get motivated. He said, sometimes, it's been hard. So you get to the top of Mount Everest, and then what? He said, but you've got to work your way back down Mount Everest, which is still a challenge. And he said, I've got to figure out how to motivate. And so maybe he's recognizing it. Man, I'm sure it is hard. I mean, he knows he's not catching Tiger, right? You're not going to catch Tiger in majors. You're not going to catch Tiger in wins. You're not going to check. So, he don't have anything left because he's not going to do that spurt. So now he's got to regroup and recover. I just think that he took it too personal. I think that some people had really probably got under Rory's skin for everything he was doing for the tour. Like, he was doing it in the right way, like everything in the right way, and they were still going after him. And I think I think he reacted in the wrong way, and he'll probably have to take a step back and be like, okay, I did what I needed to do, maybe let them know I'm not that happy, but now I've got everything. Now let's reverse it and be like, I don't have to win this, but let's go try to win it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's being a little crybaby. And the way he's acting makes me so mad. I'm going to keep this PG. I want to say some other stuff, but I'm going to keep this PG for our audience out there. I think he's being a little crybaby and he needs to suck it up. Like, what are you doing right now? You have been, I'm not going to say the absolute face of golf, but you've been one of the main faces of golf for this long, and all of a sudden you accomplish what you want and you want to start acting like nothing matters and you can just say whatever you want, do whatever you want. And my only rebuttal to your thing about, Scotty hadn't got the same, negativity from the media, whatever. Rory's been a pro since what, 2006, 7? And he's won how many? 28? Is that what you said, 28?
29.
Yeah, 29.
29, and Scotty's already won 16, and he's been pro for what, 5 years? Scotty's averaging almost twice as many wins a year as Rory is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for this stretch though. I mean, Scotty's 30. Scotty's
no, he's
30.
not. He's 28. He's our age.
He's getting up there, and Rory's what, 36?
I think 34. Or 36. He might be 36. I don't know.
Here's my thing: when you're a professional athlete and you're the face of whatever it is, you're going to take criticism if you're not playing well. So either suck it up and play better.
That's what I was going to say. Scotty was criticized very heavy 2 years ago on his putting. They were hammering down on his putting stats. Not personally. I'm just saying. I'm just saying though, they was never, from what I know, like they had the media, other than the fact that at was it last year's U.S. Open, whenever all that news came out about him and his wife about a possible divorce, all of it has usually been strictly golf stuff. It's not ever, because he's really not been a guy that's caused chaos outside of his personal life. So that's, I mean, if you're not playing well, you're going to get criticized. Scotty right now, he's not being criticized much because what is there to criticize? He's won 3 times already. He won 7 times last year. His stats and literally everything is almost at the top of almost everything. However, though, when his putting was 200 and something ranked, they were hitting hard. They were just saying, if he can figure this out, watch out, watch out, watch out. I see where you're coming from. I agree with you, Colton. I'm not disagreeing at all. But I also agree with Mason that he just you are the face of the PGA Tour. Suck it up.
He is being,
figure it out.
I just feel like he's been disrespectful to a lot of people, a lot of fans, and for example, Jack Nicklaus. It came out that apparently Jack Nicklaus and him before the Masters, they kind of walked the course together, talked about it, and he kind of gave him some insight on things. He doesn't even play in Jack Nicklaus's tournament, doesn't tell him, doesn't talk to him. What is Rory doing right now? This is, I don't know what he's going through, but this is not the Rory that we've seen for the last 15, 20 years. I don't know.
I mean, you would agree with that, wouldn't you, Colton? I mean,
I agree. I'm not happy with his comments. I'm not happy with the way he's acted towards it. I'm trying to see it from a different angle because I think there's something going on, and I think that there's something. I think that he thought that the Masters win would probably fill a void that it didn't, or it filled it, and he the reaction that he had come from so I don't know because I don't know what he had to. What I do know is that there was a lot of unnecessary criticism over his 10-year drought because he was still playing well. He just didn't win a major. And yes, you're going to be criticized if you're a top guy not winning a major. But, the guy could win 4 times in the year, but if he didn't win the Masters, everyone was like, he's never going to win it. He's never doing it. But, he could win 4 times and, win the Players multiple times, win the FedEx Cup still. And, people be like, oh, you didn't win the Masters, And it just was here he is trying to represent the board, trying to be the head of the voice, trying to do all this stuff. And not yet, these were still the comments. So, I don't know what he was really taking in from all that. And I know that, it doesn't mean that he still shouldn't put on a good face because he always has up until now. I don't know what he was dealing with between that and taking in some of those comments over time. I mean, that's hard, right? You think you're putting your stuff on the line. You think about Tiger. Here's the thing about that. Is Tiger is my favorite player of all time. Tiger's personal life has been a disaster. And yet, there's just, the majority of things are still how much you love Tiger, right? But, and the thing is, the man, you look at him, there's several reasons that people should probably not like Tiger. Truthfully, but yet he was so great that he doesn't get that type of he's 50 years old, and every time he's on, there's going to be talk about how they think he's in prime. He's in good enough form. He might could win this tournament. But we know he's not going to. But here you got Rory in his prime, and they're like, he gonna choke the Masters away or never win.
I get that, and I guess like yes, Tiger stuff, his personal life that's not necessarily a good look, but Rory kind of took over as the face of golf here recently. These whole live things, and so what he's doing now, it just doesn't look good. Like this is he's kind of helped the PGA Tour, and what Tiger didn't really affect the PGA Tour. Yes, it affected him. But now Rory's coming out here and saying all this stuff and acting like nothing matters and he's earned all this and he doesn't have to respond to anybody after he's won the Masters. Like, I mean, I guess I kind of get where he's coming from mentally, but at the same time, like, this is more than just about yourself. He's kind of set up this reputation where he's the face of the PGA Tour. Him and Scotty Scheffler are the face of the PGA Tour.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He's lucky that Scotty's around right now because I mean that in a good way, because if you don't have Scotty playing the way that he's playing and taking away, a lot of media from Rory,
yeah,
imagine how bad this truly could be. I think, I think that because Scotty is in such a dominant form and like Tigerish, like he's taking the media away from Rory, which is actually helping Rory right now because anytime he does talk to the media, it's who knows what he's going to say, and it's disrespectful. And I would feel some type of way as well. I get that.
I do
like
too.
However, though, at some point, like the tables have to turn. He's got to go over the other side. The grass is got to be greener on the other side. Like he has got to flip a switch, and be like, okay, my tour of demolishing and diminishing all the media who hated me is over. Now let's get back on track to golfing, loving the game that I fell in love with, and competing. And I'm just still not saying the competing is the biggest thing. It's like I'm even seeing frustrations on the course that I've never seen. I feel like he's thrown his club and hit multiple things multiple times in the past two tournaments.
When he smashed that
he did have a great round on Sunday.
Yeah, he shot 3 under.
He shot 3 under. He finished in top 25.
Yeah, he
tied for 19th.
Maybe that round, and he had and he had his media day before the Travelers this coming week. He was talking about how, like, a lot of times after majors, if you're in contention, you put everything into it mentally that it's hard to come play these signature events. He said he skipped it last year because of the U.S. Open, obviously the heartbreaker to Bryson. He skipped the Travelers last year, but he said but when you're not really in contention, he said he felt like he found something on that final day, and that makes him excited to come play this week at the Travelers. And he said, he's played pretty good here, so maybe by his comment about the Mount Everest thing and trying to find a motivation in the Open, and then him making those comments in the media, maybe he is turning that. Maybe he's had his little revenge. Like
done being a little whiny baby, pouting.
That man's a beast.
No, he's being a little whiny baby. My goodness.
All right, let's get into our last segment for the night, or maybe our one before our last one. But Aaron Rodgers, Mason,
double check.
I'm gonna let you kind of talk about this. So introduce. What about your man Aaron Rodgers? Talk a little bit about it. What's going on?
Oh man, so it's kind of been a little which is normal with Aaron Rodgers here. In the past few years, drama around Aaron Rodgers, right? What's he gonna do? What's he been doing? He's doing this. He's doing that. Nobody really knows what's going on with Aaron Rodgers.
The man's got married.
Apparently,
no one knows.
He showed up with a ring, and everybody's like, "What?"
And they say, "Is that a ring?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a wedding ring."
No one knows who his wife is.
Yeah, I got married. Who is it? Manti Te'o all over again.
I was going to say the same thing. It's a Manti Te'o situation.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't either. That man went out into some shrooms and a mushroom retreat and
found
a ring.
The honeymoon was great.
My goodness.
Anyway,
right, go ahead, Mason. Keep going.
So I'm sure, as everybody knows, he is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think is much better fit for him than the Jets. Just play wise for him. He's not who he used to be. He's at an old age now, and I do think he can still be a top quarterback in the league. I mean, he obviously has a talent. The biggest thing for them, and we've talked a little bit about this before, is they have to protect him, right? And the Steelers, they got a decent run game. They got a good defense. I think that's a big thing too for Aaron Rodgers, is not being on the field long periods of time. And his defense allowing him to, catch his breath as he's an old man now, go over there and get a little bit of oxygen or Aisha or whatever it is that he does. So I think it's a good fit for him. I really do think that this could kind of be a comeback season for Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to take a little hot take. I think he's going to end up having one of the better years in the NFL as far as quarterbacks go. I think he has the pieces around him. Like I said, as long as they can keep him off his butt and he's not running around everywhere, that's the biggest concern for me there in Pittsburgh. We've seen, I mean, who was it a couple years ago? Their quarterback, was it Mason Rudolph that got hit in the helmet by Myles Garrett?
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
My goodness. If they can just keep that man from getting knocked out by a helmet, I do think he's going to have a great year. And I think I saw something, I think, whenever he moved to, he announced that he was going to be going to the Steelers. I don't think it really changed their odds as far as, postseason playoff things, but I do think it will. I think they're a much better team now. And I also think, it's great for the future we've talked a little bit about this, Will Howard being able to learn from him. I know he's a weird dude now, but that man knows football and he's a great football player. As weird as he is, I think that's great for the Steelers program as long as he can buy in and doesn't butt heads, with Mike Tomlin. Which I could honestly see him and Mike Tomlin getting along. I know they're kind of a little bit different personalities now, and Rodgers likes to do things his way. But I think him coming into a system that he knows has been as consistently successful. They haven't really won Super Bowls, but they've always been pretty good. I think him coming in and understanding that is something important, and I think we'll see him do well here in Pittsburgh.
Ludo.
Yeah. I mean, after watching Russell Wilson lead them to the playoffs, I think everyone looked at that team and thought they're not better than a first-round playoff team. But I think that Rodgers can come in and do the same thing that, Russell Wilson did. I mean, he was pretty much just a game manager. He protected the ball, and they just allowed kind of their defense and some other things to come together and win some games. And that's probably where I see them. I just don't know that they still have enough weapons, right? You have Metcalf, but you got rid of Pickens now.
Got rid of Najee
And
Harris.
You got Najee Harris is gone. So, I mean, you got him and Firemouth or whatever his name is at tight end, and that's about it. Like, I mean, you got a couple young guys that you might like. But other than that, I mean, DK Metcalf's a big play guy. He's not one of those and Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about Metcalf. Like, you need a really good number two with those type of guys, because those are the guys that can get you the 110 yard, but they're going to get a 70-yard catch or 60-yard catch because they're so tall and big. But
Yeah.
you need someone that when it's 35,
that's why AJ Brown and Devontae Smith work well together.
Right,
I
because
feel like
you have
those two.
Right, exactly. You have those guys, and those are the best type of. You take a Puka Nakua and a Cooper, or whatever, and a Cooper Cup. Right, like Cooper Cup, all of a sudden
Puka
Nakua, Nakua. But like when it's 3rd and 5, right? Nakua was the guy.
Yep.
When you needed a 20-yard pass, Cooper Cup becomes the guy, and that's I don't know that they have enough. I mean, they don't really have a lot, but I do think Rodgers still has enough left in the tank to manage the game, at least what Russell Wilson did last year. And probably get them into a wild card spot anyhow. I think that I think the Bengals are going to come back and probably get another wild card spot, and I think the Ravens will win that division, and that the Bengals and the Steelers will get 2 of the 3 wild card spots probably.
Like it.
Ain't coming out of the South. Outside of whoever wins the South, no one else is coming out of the AFC South.
Yeah, I don't have any comments on it. Aaron Rodgers is a weird dude. That's all I got.
Very weird. Very weird.
Well, let's close with some Travelers Championship. So we got that coming up this weekend. So let's go ahead and give our picks for that. So I'll go first. I am going to go with, and let's just say we're taking out Scotty as always. My favorites for this week, my two favorites is first one I'm gonna go with Victor Hovland. Victor, I feel like he's found something. He's playing well. I think the one thing that's always been consistent for Victor is his iron play. And he's always been, but his driver, like that's been his one fact. Like the year he won the FedEx 2 or 3 years ago, like he was hitting me like right down, shaping it, his little baby fade that he likes to play. So he's hitting the ball very well. That's my first. That's one of my favorites headed into this week, and then my other favorite is going to be Keegan Bradley. I'm just high on Keegan. I feel like I know,
Northeast guy.
yeah, and he is from he's from that area. I think did he win this? Was it
A couple years ago.
Yeah,
2
he
years
won this
ago.
a couple of years ago. Was it the year that they went the Ryder Cup? Because he won this, right? This signature event,
Yeah.
and that was in the documentary. He talked to his wife, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Are you ready to go to wherever it was held at that year?" And he didn't get selected, thanks to
Zach Johnson.
I mean, what in the world? Anyways, so I got Keegan and Victor. And then my sleeper pick this week is no sleeper than himself. But I watched one of golf's greatest rounds last night. 2017 Open Championship. Jordan Spieth. And my man Jordan Spieth is going to come out and win. I watched a couple of on the range today with him, and he's going to solidify his spot for Team USA. He is right outside the top 30 in the world. He's got to make some noise, and I feel like he's going to make some noise coming late down the stretch this year. Come on, Jordan Spieth. We need you, baby. We need you. So, those are my three. All right. Mason, who's your two favorites and your sleeper?
So, first favorite, I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa. I feel like he's been playing pretty well all year, hadn't been able to really break through. He played solid last week. I think he finished top 30. I don't know what he finished at, but he played well, there for the first day or 2 days or so, and then it was just tough conditions last week. So I'm gonna go with Colin Morikawa. I'm gonna go a bounce back week here for Shane Lowry. He's been playing so well all year long.
He didn't play last week. Was 17 over?
Yeah, he shot 17 over. But bounce back week for Shane Lowry. Get those bad runs out of your head, Shane. He had a couple extra days to rest, work on his game a little bit. He probably went and drank a couple beers, knowing Shane Lowry. But he's gonna have a bounce back week this week. And then my sleeper is Tom Kim. I think Tom Kim is going to come out and have a good week. He hasn't really been playing well this week. I think he only has one top five maybe this year. But
is it his revenge season? Didn't he go into a playoff with Scotty in this last year, or was that?
Yeah, it was this event.
Was it?
Yeah, it was this event because then the rioters come out on they came out and sprayed.
Yeah,
on
the rioters.
They did. Yeah.
Protesters.
So I'm going those three.
Out of left field with Tom Kim.
I like it. So my top two, I'm gonna go with Sepp Straka as my favorite this week, and then I'm gonna go with Hideki as my other.
He's gonna say Hideki. Like deep down in my bones, I was like, he's about to say Hideki or
and
Ricky
my
Fowler.
Sleeper, Ricky Fowler. Sponsor exemption, coming off a couple good starts. I think he's finding something.
Tony, you say that every week. I think he's
because
finding something.
Because the week that he actually does it is going to be what a call.
It's like saying you hit a hole in one after every time getting on the par three.
I wanted to choose him. That is my guy. But really, truthfully, I want to go with Ben Griffin.
Okay, that's a
I think Ben
A
Griffin is
lot more
balling.
realistic.
I mean, look, he quietly got another top 10, like
Yep.
at the U.S. Open. So I mean, he's there right now. He just ain't messing up a lot. He's very consistent in what he's doing. And this is a birdie type course, so I mean,
yeah,
if he's
22
gonna give
under.
himself chances, yeah. So it's
Did
gonna be
y'all
totally
see?
different than what they just played. So
Did you all see Scotty's comments on that? Did y'all
Yeah.
watch that
yeah,
little clip? I thought
yeah.
that
I
was a
like
really
where he was
good.
where he was saying like good shots get rewarded, bad
Yeah.
shots get punished. That's what they're looking for in courses, and he's true. Like that's what you want to see. The Open was the U.S. Open was kind of ridiculous because like you could not hit a shot out of the rough. Like how many actual true shots out of the rough did you see the hole? Like you couldn't see anything.
It's like
Like
on
there was
like on 18, Scotty. I mean, he had to punch out straight
yeah,
left back in
like
the
there was no
fairway.
like when you were in the rough, like there was no like making a great shot out of the rough onto the green. It was done. Like you're done. Like there's none of that.
I'm breaking a wrist.
Yeah,
No way
that's
I'm
it.
getting.
It was rough. So
All right, fellas. Well, that is I guess that's the end of this episode. So always stay tuned, keep listening, and as always, go Cats.
Cats.
so Cats.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.